Hello, today I will be explaining how to record your Gunsync clips in preparation for making a Gunsync. This guide is primarily aimed at PC players. Console users will have to know how to record the clips using a capture card or other external device. Most of the principles discussed are transferable between all systems, however. This tutorial is aimed at the beginner Gunsyncer and will highlight the methodology and factors you should consider when recording your clips to use in a Gunsync. If you decide to use a Gunsync pack, you can avoid the entire recording stage, but bear in mind you're completely at the mercy of whoever recorded the pack, with the bitrate, format, location and quality all determined by them. If you search YouTube for Gunsync pack, you can find many of them across a wide range of games, and this is a brilliant resource if you cannot record your own source material for whatever reason. First things first, you should set up your recording software to capture the footage for your Gunsync. The three primary recording softwares that I would recommend are as follows. Fraps, which records in the AVI format and is the recording software I use for the bulk of my Gunsync clips. It records in an extremely high bitrate, which results in superior quality, but it consumes a lot of hard drive space, about 3.5 gigabytes for 1080p 60 footage. Another drawback is that Fraps is very CPU intensive. If your PC is not that powerful, this is probably a bad choice of software. OBS is a free program, primarily built for streaming, but the recording features it offers are simple and easy to use. It records in the MP4 format usually, but you can customize the codec and bitrate of the video to your liking. Its main disadvantage is that the initial setup is reasonably difficult, but once you have the software fully configured, it's very straightforward and easy to use. Shadowplay is the final software that I use. It's free for anyone with an NVIDIA GPU of a sufficient model. You can easily find it in the GeForce Experience client. I use it mainly for gameplay, as the instant replay feature it offers is really useful for just recording the last few minutes of action in case something amazing or funny happens. It also offers the standard recording modes you'll find in the other two programs. The only real problem with Shadowplay is that sometimes the UI elements and the interface can get in the way of you doing other things. There are a lot of resources online about how to set these programs up and how to optimize them for your system and game of choice. The very first step to recording a Gunsync is to find a location. A good location is one that is visually interesting, has few visual artifacts, and has a jam point. The easiest way to find locations is to load up maps in an offline server or simply run around. If your game of choice has no offline mode like Battlefield 4, you will either have to get someone to set up a private server or join an empty one and hope no one joins. This is how I have personally recorded Battlefield 4 in the past. So let me explain visual artifacts and jam points and what you should consider about these. A visual artifact is an item in a shot which moves or changes from frame to frame. When this moves, it will cause jumpiness if the two shots change or otherwise transition. This can be trees, fire, vehicles, lights, or even the in-game HUD. Removing the heads-up display is highly dependent on what game you are using. For example, CSGO, Battlefield, Killing Floor 2, and Call of Duty all use a console and a respective command to toggle the HUD off. Overwatch has its own respective hotkey which can toggle it quickly and easily. So, a jam point is a part of the map where it is possible to place yourself which aligns yourself perfectly every time. In essence, it's a corner. If you run into a corner and then aim at a reference point and then come back with another weapon or character, there are few other variables that need to be considered when getting a consistent shot. However, one thing you will need to consider when using this method is that in a game such as Overwatch, the characters all have different body shapes and sizes. This will cause a misalignment regardless. This again can be minimized by ensuring that your vision is as far away from any walls so that close objects at the edges of your screen will not displace as much between shots. The closer your center of view is to a wall, the more distortion will appear at the edges of the frame. This is amplified if you switch from a large character like Roadhog to a small one like Tracer when editing. There's also a second method people use for aligning themselves which I see often. Instead of using a corner to align themselves, they stand over a visual mark and use that to align themselves. For example, a gap in some tiles in some pavement. This offers the advantage of allowing a much wider range of locations to be recorded, but it does increase the amount of alignment error, which can lead to artifacting if it's severe. After you've gotten your alignment sorted, you should use a reference point to then align your vision. This could be an aerial, the edge of a building, a church spire, etc. Actually getting your aim on this reference point can be made easier by lowering your mouse DPI or in-game sensitivity as much as possible, or turning the controller's sensitivity down as much as possible. Alignment problems and using a poor/inconsistent reference point are relatively common, and I see it in amateur gunsyncs all the time when they record their own footage. I even see it in some Gunsync packs that some people have recorded. Now that you have all the clips recorded, I would recommend that you name them all as their respective gun or clip to make it easy to identify them when you open them in your editing software of choice.